Hidden in the Worcestershire countryside, Harvington Hall is a stunning Elizabethan manor. Beautiful though the building may be, it is the stories of those who lived here that help us understand the secrets that dwell inside. So Phil, tell us a bit about this amazing house.
So Harvington Hall dates right back really to the 1280s. So the moat outside dates to about 1270. We know there have been people living here since about 1280. In 1529, it was bought by a man named Sir John Packington, who was a wealthy lawyer in the court of Henry VIII. But it wasn't until 1578 that this house came into being, and that was built by a man named Humphrey Packington.
From the time of Henry VIII, life in England was incredibly difficult for Catholics. The Catholic Mass became illegal in 1559, with anyone who refused to attend Anglican church services facing heavy penalties.
In here, you may be forgiven to think this is actually a bedroom, but it's not. It's actually a secret chapel. So where the altar traditionally would be made of stone, what you see here is just a chest of drawers. So what the family would have done is put an altar cloth over the top. You've got everything here to say the Mass, but you need somewhere to hide all of this because you're not allowed to be found with this in your house. Yeah. So we have in this room what is called a secret corner. So pop a modern key in, open it up. So what you do, all the items will be stashed under the floor, put the floorboards back down, get the chest of drawers, drag it over the top and pray to God that they're not going to find it.
With Catholic activities needing to remain secret, houses such as Harvington Hall found ingenious ways to keep visiting clergy safe.
The Great Staircase is the site of possibly the most ingenious hiding place in Harvington Hall. Now, across the country, the best hiding places tend to be in staircases or around staircases. And you can see these steps look a bit suspicious because it's broken now. But if you look at this and you take up these steps, there you can see the hide.
Oh, wow.
It's 5'9" in length, 5 foot wide and 6 foot high. So that's quite a roomy hiding place. Priest holes are necessary because Queen Elizabeth I made it high treason for a Catholic priest to be in England. So if a Catholic priest was captured in a house like Harvington Hall, he would be tortured and then he'd be hanged, drawn and quartered as a traitor, so he'd be executed. In here has to be the most ingenious hiding place in Harvington Hall. And it's actually up here, so you have to use your imagination with this one. Imagine this is the book cupboard. So you'd have 2 doors in front here, you'd find panelling on all 3 walls and the books would be stacked high. Now the priest hunters are downstairs and they're banging at the door, so you need to come into here, open the doors, take the books out and come to this wall. You unclip the panelling off the wall and it looks just like a normal wall, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Until the beam swings wide open.
Oh, wow.
Do you want to come have a look?
Yeah. Whoa. How long might a priest have to hide out in a space like this?
Now that varies. So you could be in there for a matter of hours. You could be in there for over a week. The longest time a priest was ever in a hiding place was 10 days. Harvington Hall has 7 remaining priest hides, which is more than any other house in the country. And of course, the reason you've got them there is because you need the priest in the house. You are not allowed to attend a Catholic Mass publicly, so you need to do it secretly in your home. So you need the priest here to be at the house so you can hear the Mass. But then, of course, you need the hiding places just in case the priest hunters come knocking on the door. And it's a bit like a real-life game of hide and seek, but if the priest is captured, he's going to be executed.
Places such as Harvington Hall offer a wonderful insight into a specific point in our country's history. But can they still teach us important lessons for today?
So places like Harvington Hall give us a good insight of what it was like hundreds of years ago, where you couldn't practice your faith openly like we can today. I mean, we have the beauty in this country that we can be any religion we like and we can practice our own faith, but we have to be mindful that there are countries in the world where you just can't do that.
It's shocking how much religious persecution still goes on in the world today. And especially in the past, like if you think back to World War II, the Holocaust, 6 million Jews persecuted simply because they were Jewish.
No, absolutely. I agree.
It's hard.
If we're in the 21st century now and we're constantly going on about progression, like we're making progression in technology, so why as like a worldwide society are we not progressing that way forward as well?
It is horrible. However, there is so much conflict in the world, and no matter how hard everyone tries.
Yeah, it's hard
not
to, it's something
everyone's
hard to
going be happy. There
avoid.
still will be persecution. The
Yeah.
only thing we can do
Yeah.
is reduce it by applying peace onto
Yeah.
it. That's all we can do.
There's also just charities in general worldwide that provide support like aid to the church in need, that support Christians and anyone who's being persecuted for their religion.
Persecution has been around for thousands of years in human history, and it's been against people because of their ethnicity, their nationality and their gender, and discriminating against someone because of their religion, their faith, is just as bad as some of those things, and it's awful to know some of these statistics about how much people are suffering just because of what they believe in.
People shouldn't suffer because of what they believe in, because even if you don't believe in God, God still loves you, and we're all Imago Dei. Even if you don't believe it, God still loves you, and we should stand in solidarity with these prosecuted people, because they're all our brothers and sisters.
1 in 7 Christians are persecuted worldwide, which is awful because nobody should be persecuted for their religion, since that is what we've chosen to follow, and it's not okay. It's like everything from the past has just disappeared to nothing.
I completely agree. Everybody should have a choice on everything they do, unless obviously that thing is a terrible thing to do. But if it's just because of their beliefs or how they were brought up, then I don't really understand why people wouldn't care about that. It doesn't affect them, it's just what people believe in.
And who's got the right to say that you can't believe in something? If you believe in it, you believe in it. There's nothing anybody can or should be able to say that can go against that.
And I mean, that's who they are as a person, so it's like they're losing everything that they've believed in their entire life, which is awful to think about.
I subscribe to the Aid to the Church in Need newsletter, so I get the emails about persecution worldwide, but I don't know, do you hear it in the news?
Not really, but a lot of the time we have people coming in to talk when I'm in church. A lot of people come in because it is an important thing that we should be caring about.
So it's basically just through the Catholic network, not really the worldwide network. Because we were always taught, like through Jesus and the Bible, that you should care for anyone no matter their religion. But it's also because it's still happening, you can just support people who are trying to live the way that we are. So it's all well and good saying that everyone should care for everyone because that's what Jesus taught. But when people aren't being cared for in the same way that he taught, you need to understand that those people are going to find it hard, and that being there for them, it means that you can remind them of that teaching and the fact that they should still be moral people despite the fact they're struggling.
I think a lot of religions, especially Christianity, are about love, and a lot of that is based on Jesus, but I think ultimately it's just a decent thing to do. Even if you're atheist or humanist, you should still care about other people being hurt.
It's really sad that people are still being persecuted in this day and age, because we should be religiously inclusive, but if they are going to be persecuted, then standing by them and knowing that we support them, despite the fact that we don't have this in our country in the same way, is a positive thing that can bond us all together.
My name is Father Stephen Ojapa. I'm a priest of the Missionary Society of St. Paul, and obviously I now live here in the UK. This is my humble parish. I am the assistant parish priest here in St. John's, the Evangelist Catholic Church, Gravesend. I was kidnapped by Boko Haram in my house in 2022, precisely on the 24th of May. And 4 of us were picked. And Boko Haram is a violent Islamic movement founded by a man called Muhammad Yusuf in Nigeria, who Boko Haram simply means Western education is forbidden. So they began this movement in 2009 across northern Nigeria. And of course, it transmutated into so many other kind of violence that began with bombing of churches, bombing of schools, kidnapping of children, Their most high-profile kidnapping happened in 2014 when they kidnapped over 200 girls in a school in Borno. But since then, kidnappings continued at different places around the country, and of course, so I think at some point it got to me. So this is who Boko Haram is. So they began to beat the hell out of all of us. They were using anything, and we were beating every part of our bodies. And when they finished beating us, they tied chains on our legs. They tied us together, and we just sat down right on the ground, just open space on the grass. We lived with all kinds of deadly insects and animals. Scorpions were biting us almost on a regular basis because we were just right in the bush. And then after 2 weeks of that experience, they came to say to us that it's like the negotiation is not going their way. So they have to kill one of us to be able to send the pictures home to show that they are serious with their threat. So they asked the four of us, among the four of us, who is going to die to send the pictures home. Well, I was the most senior person because I made them to know that I was the only priest they kidnapped, that the other priest with me was just a cook in the house, and then the other young ladies and the boy that were there with me were all my siblings. So in other words, just to tie the conversation to me. So they asked us who is going to die. Well, with so much pain in my heart, with so much difficulty, it's not as easy as I'm saying it, I had to step out to say, well, I'm going to die. So they asked me, am I sure? I said, yes. So they said, well, they came in the morning. So they had to come back in the evening to kill and send the pictures home. So when they came back in the evening, they asked me, am I ready? I said, well, I'm ready. So I stepped forward, and they were taking me around down to where they normally kill people. But somehow, I think God was just really working. One of them, just touched by whatever, said to them, Father, come back. And of course, when I heard Father come back, I was not sure whether I was still in this world, because normally when they take you out to kill, you don't come back. So they asked me in that situation, will you still forgive us after all we have done to you? It was difficult, but I think the light and the power of the Spirit helped me to say, yes, I forgive you. And I realized that with that statement, it opened up a kind of a healing process that made me to take everything with a very light spirit. I wasn't bitter when I came out. I didn't have to seek vengeance over people who were violent towards me. And of course, meeting people, seeing the effort people were making on our behalf for our release, and then of course the love of family and friends, just began this powerful healing process that eventually I can say I'm here, looking positive. The details of this story is also just found in my book, Tears and Torture. The church is founded by the holiness of Jesus, not on any person, human. And because Jesus is divine, he has given us the grace to advocate for others, to speak for others, to share in other people's suffering and to share in other people's pain. There is a project about trauma counseling session in Borno, actually supported by Aid to the Church in Need. This center supports those who have been abused by Boko Haram, those who have gone through violence, and they come there to seek counseling, to seek therapy, to seek advice. And of course, many of them are not even Christians. They come from all walks of life. Once you've been abused, there is a safe haven for you, supported by the works of Aid to the Church in Need. And generally, we know that violence is in different categories. Some places experience it in a very violent way. Other communities experience it in a very systematic way. Others have to shed their blood. Others have to lose their jobs. Others have to lose their identity. But we ask young people everywhere to rise up. The Catholic Church is beautiful. The church is wonderful. The most respected organization in this world. I think we should be proud to be part of this body. We should be proud to identify ourselves as Catholics. We should be proud to make the sign of the cross in public, because that is our identity. Aid to the Church in Need has been a strong advocate of raising the voices of the forgotten church. As a priest in Sokoto, working in Nigeria, we have benefited from their charity. I didn't even know I was going to come very closely in contact with them. And so many other churches and parishes and convents in Nigeria that have benefited in terms of building of churches, because there are some parts of Nigeria where churches are not even allowed to be built. Lands are not even given if you want to build a church. Or even if you have the church, the funds to build the churches would not be there. So aid to the church in need has been very instrumental in assisting these kind of communities. Why would the young people care? They should care because this church is one. Our world is one. The body of Christ is one. Whatever affects your brother or your sister in Afghanistan, in Palestine, in Israel, in China, should concern you wherever you are, because we are one body, one spirit, one baptism, one Lord, Jesus Christ.